You're listening to Navid Moosa of the Mindset Movement.
Good day, good people. My name is Navid Moosa. I'm your host, saying always for the Mindset Movement. Every day we try to bring you guys value. We appreciate you stopping here. There's a lot of information out there, yet you choose to listen to us, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your trust. Longtime listeners, thanks for your loyalty. We would love you guys just as much, if not more. Look, normally the podcasts are pretty short. They're like 6-7 minutes, 10 minutes. But when we do an interview, they go longer. However, it also means more information, and what I like to do is call story time. So today, I have I'm going to call her a guest. She's not really a guest. She's a good friend of mine. Her name is Modesta, and just a fair warning, I'm going to be very comfortable today. So because I know her, so you may just hear things fly out, not be proper English and grammar or whatever. But I'm comfortable with this person, talking to her and stuff like that. And it's weird, right? Because so Modesta and I came up together in the investment world with the same mentor sort of and stuff like that. But we haven't talked in a while, and we haven't the way we used to. And it's funny because, and we'll touch on this, but someone said, "Hey, what happened to that girl you talk about all the time?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, she was married and she had a kid and you guys are doing stuff together. I was like, "Modesta?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "She's good. She's okay. Why? We haven't talked to her in a while. Is everything okay?" I'm like, yeah, life just happens.
Right.
like people think because we don't talk, oh, was there a fallout or something?
Right.
And it's like, no, she's good. And I'm, we're fine. Right. But I want to talk about that later on because that happens a lot when people think, oh, y'all don't talk, something's wrong. No, it is. So right. Anyways, thank you very much for agreeing to do this, Modesta. I really appreciate it. So like I briefly introduced her very crudely, was that she's a friend of mine, but she's more than that, obviously. And I'm gonna let her tell her story of being a mother, being a wife, being just an overall just superstar, killing it in everything that she touches. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Navid, for having me today. I'm always so honored. I have so much respect and love for you. Like Navid kind of touched, I in the beginning of our investor, especially my investor career, Navid was a huge, like a big mentor for me. So I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
As Navid mentioned, I am a mother. And whenever anyone asks what my occupation is, I say I'm a mother, I'm a wife, because those are 2 full-time jobs, and I'm also a real estate investor. And so what I do is, my husband and I have our own rentals, but I also do my business partner and I, we wholesale and we flip houses here in Berks County. Okay. And so, I was, that typical first generation Latin, female, went to college, parents pushed for that, got that corporate America job because that's, what my parents wanted, and quickly found out that it wasn't for me. That corporate life wasn't for me. And so there were some things that happened with the corporation. A lot of people lost their jobs. One day there was like 200 people that lost their jobs, salaried people. And so that made me kind of switch my mindset, like, okay, I need to do something more. Like my husband and I need to also have other forms of income come in. So I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that immediately was that changing point in my life. So we contacted our realtor, told him, hey, we're going to hold off on buying a house. Let's look at multi-units. We're going to live in one, rent the other. And that's how I started my investment career.
Oh, okay. I did not know that of myself. I do remember us talking when you were working your corporate job, and you had said, like, I know we spoke a lot, but then to me, when my light went off for you was that they offered you a raise or something like that. And you were like, you remember that? You remember they say, they offered me a raise, and you were like, I don't want it. Like, I don't care, Yeah. And that's where I knew. I was like, oh, damn, she's ready.
Yeah, it was about, I think it was like a $10,000 raise. So it wasn't like a $2,000 raise. And I remember sitting in front of my boss and just like, I didn't give him a reaction. It was so awkward because he was looking at me. I think he was expecting me to be like, oh my gosh. And I don't know. I didn't care. I was like, okay, thanks, on to the next. I already had my mind set that this wasn't what I wanted, I wanted something else. So it's just, it was very awkward.
So do you think that's what did you realize it before that raise that you were ready to go? Or did the offer of that raise kind of give you the assurance that, you know what, okay, I thought I was ready, but because of my reaction, I know I'm ready?
Yeah, I think it was definitely the push that I needed. It pushed me over the edge. I already knew, like I already had a date set. But, I mean, with anything in life, when you have big decisions coming, your mind is telling you, like, are you really sure you want to do that? You have benefits, you have a 401k, blah, blah, blah. And so that really pushed me to immediately say, that's it. Like, my date is set. I'm happy. Like, that's where I'm going.
So that's interesting, because I've always wanted to hear people's thoughts on that. Everyone gives a different answer. There's no right or wrong, just a different answer. You easily could have said, like you said, I have benefits. I've got a 401k. I've got this big company, corporate, that's been around for many, many, many years. It's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. You easily could have said, yeah, let me just stay here. Why? Why didn't you? Why didn't you just stay in that comfort zone?
I felt like there were meetings that I would attend, and I would see so many people that were just not happy.
So you're talking about not networking events, you're talking about corporate meetings.
I'm talking about the corporate America meetings.
Okay.
And when I would talk to friends who were in similar positions, I thought maybe it was just like my corporation issue. It wasn't. It was, to me, in my opinion, it was just an issue overall, where people just weren't content with their life. Like, there was no, I don't know how to put it, but there was just no way for them to really find what they were happy with in that corporation. Now, I could be wrong, right? Everyone's different, but that was just my observation when I went to meetings and people would complain and do all this other, other stuff. And to me, it was just like, that didn't really scare me, like the whole benefits, because I would literally sit down and be like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, you're going to lose benefits. So what's the solution to that? Right? My husband has benefits. He's staying in his job, so we'll do that. Right? So I would literally look at everything that I was afraid of and just think of, okay, what's the solution to that? And if there wasn't a solution, I would make a solution. Right? So 401k, okay, I was going to put that into self-directed IRA and lend that to investors. So it didn't really, it didn't faze me.
Okay. So that's a good segue to my next portion.
Sure.
Your family.
Yeah.
How big was it? How big was it for your husband when you decided to make that move? What was his feedback? And how much did that influence you or not influence you?
Sure. Man, my poor husband, I got to give it to him, man. It's not easy. It's not easy being married to a woman that's super ambitious. Like, I'm going to be upfront with you. However, he is so supportive from the beginning. I set my date, and I'm the type of person, like, once I set a date, that's it. Like, there's no changing it, like, that's it. And he was supportive. And it was just like an automatic thing. Like, he would ask me, like, are you ready for your, did you put in your 2 weeks? Did you put in your month or whatever? Are you ready? And then that was that. Like, there was no pushback on his end. Like, he knows how I am. And ultimately for us, it's not just a Modesta goal. It's a family goal. Yeah. Like, I want to retire him one day. I want him to be at the beach somewhere, like in Dominican Republic, drinking a Modelo,
Yeah.
But that's the goal. Like, ultimately, that's the goal, that eventually we will all get to that point where we can, retire.
Okay. So, well, that kind of spawns up to the other section. Is when I interview females, particularly that are either mothers or married, the common theme that I would usually hear is their role or their identity, what's important to them. You led off by saying, when someone asks you, what do I do for a living? You're like, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, because they're both full-time things. I've I personally know somebody, a family member, who she lived by the thing that all I want to do is be a mother. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But it got to a point where, fast forward 20 years later, her kids are now grown and stuff like that. She doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
She's lost because
Mm-hmm.
her whole identity was just, I'm a mother, I'm a mother, I'm a mother, and that's it. I'm the best husband, I'm the best wife, I'm the best mom, and that's good enough for me. But now the kids are grown.
Mm-hmm.
The kids are grown to know. And now she is like really, she's unfortunately going through depression and she feels lost.
Sure.
How do you address something like that? Because you should be proud of being a parent,
Sure.
hopefully,
Sure.
right? You should
Absolutely.
be proud of being a spouse, but how do you not let that be the only identity that you have? Or do you feel that, hey, I'm cool with that?
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, this is one of those conversations, man, because you hear about it so much about women who devote so much time to the family. And obviously I do devote a majority of my day is literally with my kids or, at the house doing whatever it is. But I make sure to prioritize me time because I will be honest with you, when mom's not happy, nobody in the house is happy.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Say that again. Say that again. Please say that again.
Seriously, when I'm unhappy, nobody is. Like
That's
the dog
right.
is even upset. Like it's literally like that. So I prioritize my health. Like the gym is a no, like I don't care. I would drop the kids off at mom's. Like she knows that mom here, if they have off of school, here you go. I'm going to the gym. Weekends, it doesn't matter, little things like getting my nails done and things like that. Like whatever makes me happy, like I have to prioritize that as well. And I encourage all moms and all females to do that as well. Find what you're passionate with and make sure that regardless, like obviously, yes, it's being a mother is like it's the most beautiful thing in the world. That's not going to change though. If anything, you're going to become a better mother, a better wife when you prioritize yourself and your health and your mental health.
So, okay. And thank you for saying that. Thank you,
Sure.
because I mean, I have that class that George and I teach, and so we have a lot of females in there,
Mm-hmm.
and we talk about that. If mama's not happy, ain't no one happy.
Oh, wow.
I don't care who you think, how tough, macho, money, whatever you ain't. If she ain't happy, forget, it's a wrap. The
Yep.
whole day, you ain't sleeping proper, you ain't
Nope.
having a good meal.
Nope.
It ain't happening. Simple as that. And I know a lot of guys who like, oh, that's ridiculous. No, then that's why you're single. Okay.
Right.
First of all, that's why your ass is single, because you
Exactly.
don't get that.
Yeah.
But I do want to touch on that because we have this consistent debate of selfish versus self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And selfish has taken on, and I get it, has taken on a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're selfish, you're just worried about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing self-care, you are worried about yourself because you need to be the best version of you to give forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Can you talk about that? Like, can you kind of expand on that? Because I still think, and unfortunately, I see it in more in females I do in guys, where a lot of females just think, well, if I do this, if I take on this entrepreneurial hat, if I put this hat on,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to abandon my kids. I'm going to abandon my significant other. And they feel guilty about that. And it's like, what can you tell them to make them realize they're not abandoning anybody? What can you tell them to encourage them to keep going?
Sure. So what I can say is that feeling of guilt, of feeling guilty, it does not go away. Because even with me, even when I go get my nails done, Navid, I literally feel like, I'm like, oh my God, the kids, I'm texting my mom. That feeling does not go away. However, like you have to take care of yourself internally. Whatever makes you happy, make sure you're blocking yourself out, like blocking that time out so that you can, to make sure that you're putting yourself first. Because ultimately, like you have to put yourself first in order to take care of everything else. Right. And whoever's telling you it's selfish, like I would just block them people out of your life because it's just, you don't need it's that the issue is that they don't understand. Either they're having issues with themselves that they can't realize how important self-care is, that
There
they're
you go. There
putting
you
that
go.
fear on you, and you don't need that. You just keep doing what you think is best for you. If going to get your hair done on a monthly basis, make sure that's blocked out every single month for the next 12 months, and make sure that that's your day to do that. That's what makes you happy and makes you feel good internally. If you know, putting TV on so the kids can watch an hour of TV so that you can sit down and listen to an audible, that doesn't make you a bad mom. The kids are fine. I'm sure they're happy with the movie. The kids are fine. Give them a snack and listen to your audible. You have to put yourself first.
Yeah, no, and I can't thank you enough for saying that, because number one, kids are very resilient.
Yes, they are.
Kids are a lot stronger than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, you know, because I don't care if my kid is 30 years old, I'm still going to worry about my child because he is my child, no matter what age he is. But as kids, when they're that small, we go into that helicopter hover mode. You know, we don't want nothing ever negative to happen. We don't want them to cry. We don't want them to be sad. We don't, you know, but if nothing ever happens, then nothing will ever happen.
Exactly. Because
that's how they learn. They learn through that. You grew up, you fell off your bike, you fell down, you got pushed down, you got knocked down, you got up. So, but as a parent, we sometimes forget that, damn, because what is it? We always say we don't want our kids to struggle the same struggle we went through, but it's those struggles that made us who we are, and we're happy with where we are and who we are.
Absolutely.
So our kids have to struggle a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm obviously you're you know, we're talking, you're a confident woman. You've always been confident for as long as I've known you. But there had to be some bumps and bruises, or was it just sunshine and roses the whole way through?
Oh yeah, I don't know if I would consider myself confident. I don't know. I go through phases of like feeling great, you know. When I have weeks where I'm putting properties under contract, like 2 or 3, I feel like I'm on top of the world. You know, weeks that there's no contract, I literally feel like I can hide underneath a shell. It's everyone goes through their ups and downs. It's just the how far can you bounce back up? And I've been doing the 75 hard challenge. I'm a week in, and so I've been doing my reading and stuff. And the one book mentioned today how important it is to bounce back. Like, you just have to bounce back. Everyone's going to go through things, but you just have to figure out. You have to truly ask yourself, like, what could I have done better? After you go through your phase of like, oh man, for instance, if I didn't get any contracts, like, I'm a failure, but what could I have done differently with these calls and with these clients, so that's, you have to be truthful to yourself as well.
So do you find it, so you said like 1 week you have like 2-3 contracts, but another week you have nothing. And usually I'm a big person, saying that adversity kind of defines us, right? When you go through that struggle, that's when you know what you're really made of. But on the opposite end of that, when you do have 2-3 contracts, do you just ride that high, or do you say, okay, and just sustain with that? Or do you say, okay, let me build off of this?
Yeah. So definitely building off of it, right? Like what was different this week, that I was able to get so many contracts, and so my business partner and I, we do have our weekly calls where we go over things and like try to put things in process, if something worked that we haven't been doing before in the past, making sure that we're doing that more often,
Okay.
So definitely writing it.
And then now you've mentioned your business partner. I'm assuming your business partner is also your accountability partner, or do you have somebody else be your accountability partner?
I would say she's definitely my accountability partner.
Okay.
But I would say that my good group of friends, like I have like 2 or 3 that I definitely contact like on a daily basis. They probably get so tired of me, but I would consider them and my sisters, accountability as well. Yeah.
And how hard was it for you to identify, outside of your business partner, how hard was it to identify an accountability system?
Like the people, you mean?
Yeah.
So I've always been extremely selective with who I consider like good friends, I guess you can say, because not, you have acquaintances, but not everyone's a good friend, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly
what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know.
So the people that I'm thinking of and that I mentioned, it wasn't really that hard because, there's one particular friend that I can text and she will put me in my place. like, oh, I actually don't agree with that. You know, like those are the type of people you want, not the ones that are going to sugarcoat things and be like, oh no, it's okay. Like, hey, I don't want to work out today. I'm tired. Well, you don't have to do it now, but you can do it at this time, right? So those are the type of people that hold you accountable and that you want in your life.
Yeah. So you took your accountability to everything, not just real estate. You took it to your health. Yeah. You took it to across the board.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you're the first person who actually has said that. And I'm glad you mentioned that now, because I think the hardest part of being an entrepreneur is separating church and state. You know what I mean? Like, I'm home now. I got to take this hat off. But at the same time, you are the business.
Yeah.
Right. So the business kind of flows with you. And with COVID hitting, a lot of people working from home. So that separation of home, going into an office, was gone. Right now, I don't know if you have an office or not. I do. And I needed an office because I was home all the time. I mean, you know my life. I was Mr. Mom, Mr. Dad. I was everything. And I love it. Like you said, I love being a parent, and it's a beautiful thing. But I needed time for me. And my me time was coming to the office. But when COVID hit and everything was shut down, I had to do everything just like you and your partner, everyone else. We had to do it from home. How was that for you? How did you find that to be a struggle, or no, you kind of picked up like where you left off at?
It was definitely a struggle. Because at the time, one of the girls were in school, and then the other one, she would stay at home, but I had someone there watching. But then due to COVID, it was like the person didn't want to come in because they weren't sure if they had COVID. So I had both girls, and on top of that, having to answer calls and things like that was extremely difficult. Even this summer, like, this was my first summer having both girls, home with me. I'm not gonna lie, it was a struggle. But thankfully, 99% of the people I spoke to were very understanding. And actually, I think it was a huge benefit on my end, because they knew I wasn't this fake person. I was an actual human being, looking to help them with their situation. Yeah. So definitely difficult.
Did you find that you went through how can I say this? Like a purge of, before you say, and I get it, acquaintances of friends they're two different things. The friend circle and the acquaintance circle, really big. Sure.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself purging one or the other or both?
Absolutely. Right. It decreases, I feel like, as the more you get like in tune with what you want, it definitely increases. I feel like I have people in buckets. Like, there's people that I speak to on like a daily basis. I'm sure they get tired of me, but then there's people that I can talk to like here and there, and then there's others that I just cut out completely just because they didn't fit, where I'm at right now.
Now, those who you cut out, did any one of those come back to you and saying, hey, what happened? Or like, no, just nothing.
No, there was no communication. I think it was kind of one of those things where we both knew,
it
where
was
we
time.
were back in life. If you don't match like where you're going, it's just, it's just that. Like, I don't.
Yeah. No, but and I'm asking that question. It is a tough question to answer, because there's no clear-cut answer for it, right? There's no, because it's almost easy to cut somebody off if they're being an asshole, right? Because they're being an asshole. But it's hard to cut somebody off when they're just like, when your goals, like you said, your goals on the line.
Yeah.
And so we started the conversation initially with me saying that, when someone asked me about you, and well, how come you guys don't talk anymore or something like that? And it's like, you get to a point where I know at least I think a whole year can go by. You and I don't have to talk. But I know if I text you, hey, I got a quick question, you're going to answer my question.
Absolutely.
And it's not because, Navid only texts me when he needs something, or vice versa. It's that, hey, he's doing his thing, and hey, she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very lonely and hard place for people to kind of understand that, because we get conditioned from such a young age, in my opinion, and I want to hear your thought on this. We get conditioned from such a young age that it has to be, well, if you're really going to be friends, you should check on them, and you should know their favorite food color and what they eat and all that stuff, and so many good things about them. But you can still be friends and not have communication. because you have that respect for each other. Like, what is your stance on something like that?
Right. Like, yeah, I definitely have people that, like you said, I can go over a year without talking to them. And when we talk to each other, it's like we lead off right where we left off. It's not, there's no, nothing, there's no grudge or anything. It's in our case, I know how busy you are, Navid. Two boys, wife, the podcast, the group, and everything. It's just, I know that you're super busy, but I also know that if I need you, or if I need to talk to someone, I can always give you a call or a text, and you'll be there, and vice versa. So it's definitely, I do agree though, the way that we're conditioned, it's like, it just is, it's not the right way. Like it's the right way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up because not just from my discussion, but it was just with the students that we have coming. I would say, number one, their struggle is identifying who they are because they were, whatever they identified with such a long time ago. The other thing is that separation. It's saying, hey, you're going to lose people, and I use the same phrase you do, buckets. I put people in buckets every single time. So it's funny you say that. Again, we haven't talked in a long time, but yet we're using the same phrases of putting people in buckets. How I tell people when I teach them as a mentor, I tell them to write it down. I say, write down the people who you feel are friends, write down the people, those who think are acquaintances. And then I want you to just draw an arrow to each one and be like, here's what I do. I had one gentleman who wrote down like 26 people and when I said, who can you call and not talk to them for like 2 years, but you can still call them and do something. He had 3 people or 2 people from 26 that he can do that with. And so I told him, those are your friends. Those 2 are your friends. Those 24 are your acquaintances.
Right.
And it was sad, but it wasn't sad because he needed to see that. Because to him, he felt all this responsibility that he had to give to people, but when it was time for them to help him out, they wouldn't reciprocate it. And it took him to write that down to see that, oh shit, I'm not this guy who I thought I really needed to be. How did you kind of separate your buckets? How did you decide who goes where?
Honestly, it wasn't hard for me. I do like that idea of writing it down, because some people I feel like are visual and they need to see it visually. But like I mentioned before, I've always been very like introverted, and I've always just had my select people that I talk to on a daily basis versus not. And honestly, like if I don't speak to you on a daily basis, then you're probably, in another bucket. And I automatically know where where people are in bucket wise, what I mean? Just because it's like human nature to me. If we can't bring each other value, if we can't like conversate and have like good conversation and things like that, then you're just going to be placed in a different bucket.
Yeah, there you go. And it's easy for you to say that, easy for me to say that. I'm sure there's people listening and going to be like, oh, sure, it's easy for you to say it because you are where you are. But it wasn't always this easy. Right. I think we all struggle. It's just we don't broadcast that struggle. And we don't broadcast the struggle because who wants to hear our problems?
Right.
We don't want to hear about our problems. Your problems are yours, mine are mine, and that's it. But at the same time, we all have them.
Yes.
It's just how we deal with them and how we push through them at the end of the day.
Yep.
So listen, we're going to wrap this up. First off, thank you very much for doing this. I know we had to reschedule due to weather on several occasions, but we finally made it and stuff like that. So we're going to be signing off. I want you to leave any final thoughts, either questions for whoever's listening to this. What can you tell them to not give up? What can you tell them to help them push through, that they're not alone?
Yeah, I think that you just have to believe in yourself. You just have to believe that you are capable of anything. Once you instill that in your mind, anything is capable. Like I truly believe, and I'm probably going to sound so like cocky, and I'm not. Navid knows that I'm not that type of person, but I truly believe that I will excel in any position that I'm put in just because I know that I'm capable of it. So once you believe in yourself, and how do you get there, right? How do you get to the point where you believe in yourself so much? Listen to audibles, read books, surround yourself with people that are doing much better than you and have succeeded, because they are the ones that are going to tell you like, oh yeah, I went through this and that, and I still overcame that. And this is how I did it. So learn from them. And, join groups like Navid, your group with George, where there's, someone who's mentoring you. Find a mentor, someone that has been successful and can teach you. So just don't give up on yourself. Just keep pushing through.
There you go. So listen, guys, it all ends and starts with you.
Yes.
It does. And you've heard it. Oh, it's a cliche for a reason, right? Because it's true. And everyone says it. Everyone, who's in a power of, or a position of power, position of leading themselves, it started with them. They recognized it, and they just had to believe in themselves. So again, thank you, Modesta, again, for everything. Tell the hubs and the kids I said hi. Tell your father I said hi, stuff like that. And I had to go see him to get this nice and shiny.
Oh yeah.
Sure. there's a little bit there, stuff like that. But listen, as each and every week we sign up the same way. Listen, just do right by the client. If you do right by the client, everything else will fall into place. I guarantee that. Do right by the client. Don't chase the money, and everything else falls into place for you. Each and every week we drop a podcast live on Wednesday. No different this week as well. Be good to each other. Be safe out there. Be good to yourself as well. Take care and see you guys next week. See ya.